The Today I am going to start with the next lesson, the three orders. So, what exactly the three orders mean? The three orders relate to the society of France, in which the society was divided into three groups, and it was based on the privilege system and also hierarchical system. So hierarchical here means ranking system. So the French society was divided into three classes. The first class comprises of the clergy. Clergy are the Catholic priests of their church, and they were enjoying the highest status in the French society. They were enjoying all the privileges which were given to them by the state, and even they were in possession of massive wealth, agricultural lands. They were not paying taxes to the government. Even they were collecting taxes from the people in the form of religious tax, which was known as tithes. Then the second group comprised of the nobility. Nobility also was a privileged class, and it was also enjoying all the benefits that were given to them by the state. And these benefits were that they were in possession of immense wealth of the state, that is, they were in possession of lands, and even everything was given to them free of cost. They were not paying to any taxes to the government, and rather they were collecting the taxes from the people, from their own people, on which they were having stake. Stake means the people who were living on their estate. So those people who were living on their estates, especially the rich farmers, so these feudal lords, they were collecting the taxes from the rich farmers and the traders, a state tax that was known as tally. So clergies were the feudal clergy and the feudal lords, they both were the privileged class, and they were enjoying all the benefits that were given to them from the state. They were not paying any taxes, they were exempted from paying taxes, and not only that, they were collecting the taxes from the common people. Then the third group comprised of the masses. So these masses were the common people who were living in that particular state of the France, and they were mostly comprised of the rich peasants who were living in the villages. Then the labor class, who were considered as serfs, they were landless agriculturists, and they were on the complete mercy of their feudal lords. They did not have any right, and they only have to do whatever has been told to them. And the head of this society was king. So king was the overall head of this feudal society. So in this way, these three orders comprises of the French society, which was based on the hierarchical system. It was divided into three classes. The above two classes were the privileged one, and the last one was unprivileged. And the people of this society, they were forming majority population, but they were having no rights. They were in less possession of the property of the state, and they have to bear all the burden of the taxes. So this you have already, this French society you have already studied in class 9th, the French Revolution, in which you have studied about the society of France, how the French society was divided. Now we'll come to the lesson. Okay, so there were some changes. Okay, so first France was also known as Gaul when it was the part of Roman civilization. So Gaul was a province of Roman civilization, and this was inhabited by the most of the nomadic tribes, tribal people who were known as Germanic tribes. And mostly these Germanic tribes were the fierce tribal people who sometimes gave severe bolt to the Roman civilization. Later on, during the late antiquity of the Roman civilization, these Germanic tribes, they consolidated themselves and they formed a big power, and they declared themselves as independent from the Roman Empire. And in this way, Gaul became a free country, a free state, which an independent state from the Roman Empire. And later on, the Frankish people who were living over there, so the name of the Gaul was changed into France. So here we are in this chapter, you are going to know about how the French people and the France, who became very powerful during the later centuries, that is from 1000 to 1400 AD. So in this time, France became very powerful, and it started, not only it became powerful, but it started doing the expansionist policies. That is, the king of the France, it, after consolidating its power, it started annexing the less powerful states of Europe, and it became an imperial country. So mostly the countries which are ruled by monarchs, they are mostly imperial countries, because the monarch is an autocrat, and he always have an interest to acquire other territory, and in this way they try to expand their territories by acquiring the territories of the other less powerful countries, which is known as annexation, and thus expanding the area of their territory. So this was with the France also, and it became very powerful during the Middle Ages. Okay, and how when France became an independent country, and also it became an imperialistic country, then how the society and the political system that was prevailing in France, they also that system, that feudal system and the serfdom, this was actually the basic feature of the society of France. So when the France became powerful and imperialistic nation, and annexed other European states, then it imposed this system, this feudal system, in other European states also. And in this way, during the Middle Ages, feudal system came under the prevalence. Okay, few things I will read for you so that you can understand in a more better way. Due to socio-economic and political changes, Western Europe society was divided into three orders between the 9th and 16th century after the fall of the Roman Empire. Many groups of Germanic people occupied the regions of Italy, Spain, and France. The three orders are three social categories: Christian priests, land-owning nobles, and peasants. The term feudalism. So feudalism, I have told you, it's also a form of vassalage system. Vassalage system means that for the purpose of laying down the administration, the kings of France followed a system in which they used to divide their lands into small provinces, and each province was handed over to their most loyal noble, and these nobles were given the full political autonomy to rule over that piece of land according to their wish. They can make their own laws. They have the right to collect revenue, and they also have the right to maintain a very big and powerful army in their province for the um, sake of their emperor, because emperor was not maintaining any army. The army was maintained by their feudal lords, and whenever the king wanted the army for the purpose of waging war or for the purpose of protecting its own kingdom from the attack of the enemy, then these feudal lords used to provide their big army to the king. And not only they used to provide the big army to the king, but they also participated in the wars for the purpose of for their kings, and in this way they tried to show their loyalty towards their king. And in exchange of that, the kings, when seeing that these nobles, these feudal lords are so loyal to them, he used to reward them with more lands. And when these feudal lords, they acquired more and more land, they sometimes become so powerful, because ultimately the common masses, they were paying their full service, and they were under only the contact of their feudal lord. They were hardly knowing about their king, because the king did not have any direct contact with them. And so these feudal lords who were in possession of huge lands, they sometimes became so powerful with the help of their own people. They sometimes declare war against their own king, and they declare themselves as independent rulers. But this form of system was prevailing in Europe, and it was spread by the French kings who used to do the administration in this manner. Okay, and then these feudal lords, who were also having the political autonomy over their own states, they were collecting taxes from their people, and they were paying these taxes to the state. And then the people who were living in the states of these feudal lords, they were also categorized into two types. First of all, they were common masses, but at that time French was mostly an agricultural country, so most of the population was living in the villages, and the main occupation of the common masses was agriculture. But these masses were also divided into two categories. First were the rich peasants, who were also acquiring some land. They were in possession of some land, and they were only paying the taxes to the state, to their feudal lords. And the other peasants who were living, they were actually landless laborers, because they were not possessing any land, and they were working on the fields of the rich peasants. And mostly they were working on the fields of their feudal lords. They were under the complete mercy of their feudal lords, because feudal lords used to provide them with everything, with food, lodging, and with shelter. And so they were just like bonded labor. They were under the complete mercy, and even the decision of their marriage was taken by their feudal lords. So these landless peasants, who were just treated like bonded laborers, they were known as serfs. Okay, so I think so this much is clear to you. Now let's come to the three order. The three order, first is the first was the priest, that I have already told you. They were known as clergymen. Priest, the clergy of the Catholic Church. Europe guide by the bishops, and then Pope lived in Rome. So these the priests of the Catholic churches, they were also categorized according to their seniority. So those who were the clergies, they were the first ranked priest, and they were the first of all appointed as clergy in the Catholic churches, and then second were the, after that they used to, after their seniority, they used to get the position of bishops, and then the head of the Catholic church is always the Pope, who lives in Rome, who is living in the Vatican City. So head of the Catholic church lives in the Vatican City in Rome. Now in this some restrictions were also there, that women could not become priest, but they were allowed to be a monk. Monk means those persons who leave their worldly desires and worldly pleasures for the sake of, and for the sake of God, and for the sake of their full devotion towards their own religion. They live in an isolated place, in a monastery, where they only spend their time in the prayer of their God, and also in the work of social service, and sometimes they even write the Bibles at that time, because at that time printing machine was not invented. So basically they have to write the copies of the Bibles in the form of manuscript, so it required it consumed lot of time. So these monks who were who left their worldly pleasures for the sake of the God and for the sake of their religion. Then nobles, they were also known as the vassals of the king, means they were in direct service with the king. They were considered as loyal, and they have to show their loyalty during the time of war, and they enjoyed a privileged status. They were having absolute control over property. Could raise troops, means they have the full right, because they were given the political autonomy, as I have already told you. So they have the right to maintain a big army in their province, and that they used to supply to the king at the time of war. And not only that, they also went to the war and fought for not only for their king but for their own country. So in this way they tried to prove their loyalty. Then the third order were the masses. Mostly at that time the France was also comprised of villages, and the people living over there, they were peasants. Free peasants and serfs, as I have already told you, that free peasants were those who were in possession of some piece of land, some fragment of land, and they were doing the agriculture and selling it, and they were paying the taxes in the form of cash and kind. And the serfs were the landless agriculturists who were under the complete mercy of their feudal lord. Then serf cultivated plots of land, but these belonged to the lord. Then manorial estate. So what is manorial estate? That the feudal lord's palace, the feudal lord, where the feudal lord used to live, it was in the form of a palace, and that palace was fortified, and feudal lord was known as manor, lord of manor. So means lord of manor means estate, riyasat. Okay, so and what the peasants used to pay him, it was known as manorial dues. Then this I have explained you. What was the clergy? At that time Catholic Church used to dominate the whole Europe, and this Catholic Church not only used to dominate the whole Europe, but also it used to dominate the kings, the monarchs. The monarchs were also under the domination of the Catholic churches. Catholic churches were very powerful at that time. They were having their own judiciary even, and they were collecting their own religious taxes from the people, and they were also interfering in the political matters. Okay, so everyone has to because most of the people living in the Europe, they were Catholic Christians, so they have to do whatever the clergies used to tell them. Means they cannot question clergy on anything. The church was a powerful institution. The Pope and the head of the Catholic Church lived in Rome. Perhaps bishops were religious nobility. The church played a major role in influencing the medieval European society. Okay, so this already have told you. Then the nobility, the word feudalism, I have already told you. Feud means is a German word, means feud. Feud means a land, and those who were the owners of the land, they were known as the feudal lords. Okay, then it was a land of agricultural protection, relationship between the lords and peasants. The nobility had a privileged role in the social process with absolute control over the lord. They raised troops that were called the feudal levies. So means they were even collecting the taxes, the state taxes from the rich peasants, and they were known as stellies. And not only they were collecting the taxes, but they were also taking some form of work, that was a labor work, from these people who were living in their estates. And this not only the serfs have to do it compulsory, but even the rich peasants, they also have to oblige their feudal lords by rendering the free of cost services by working once in a day, in a week, in their fields. Okay, so in this manner they were taking the taxes in the form of cash and in the form of kind. Okay, then was the nobility had a privileged role in the social process with this absolute control over the land. They raised troops that were called as feudal levies. Feudal levies means feudal taxes, and the troops means the army. Okay, so feudal levies means the army that they were maintaining in their own state. Then the king of France was linked to the people through the system of vassalage. So it was altogether known as a vassalage system. The king was accepted as savior. Savior means one who will protect them from everything, from outsiders, from enemy, and from all type of natural calamity. So he was just given a rank like a god. He was equivalent to like a god, and he was also called as lord of the savior. So means who will protect their people. Okay, then the cavalry and the peasants, soldiers, were called knights. And then he used to maintain some people who were very courageous, and they were known as knights. So these knights were also helping their feudal lords at the time of war, and they were also very powerful because that political autonomy is given to these knights by their feudal lords. Okay, and these knights were also in possession of big lands, and were even serfs were even sent in the fields of these knights to work on their lands. Okay, then the common peasantry was there, who was just rendering services not only to their feudal lords but also to the knights who were under them, who were placed under them, and they were the military commanders. Peasants and serfs were of two kinds. of cultivators in medieval Europe, free peasants labeled for cultivating the Lord's field to provide labor rent. So, labor rent was actually extracted from the free peasant. So, that I have already told you, in the form of means they have to, even the free peasants, they have to work once in 1 day in a week, and provide the labor by working on their fields free of cost. And even during the time of public works, means like the construction work and all that, building of roads, constructing of roads, bridges and all that. So and that was considered as the rent that they were paying to their lord, so that was known as labor rent. Okay. And then so free peasants labored for cultivating the lands field to provide labor rent. They paid a direct tax called a tally to the king. European monarchs were called new monarchs. Okay. Now the Anglo-Saxons had a great council. So Anglo-Saxons, who were Anglo-Saxons? Anglo-Saxons, they were the native of the England. And so when during the 1100 AD, the king of Normandy, that is towards the north of France, captured the England, then he placed his own French order in the England, and the people of these native people, that is the Anglo-Saxons, they were made as the common masses, and most of them were made as serfs. Okay, they have to serve their lord. Okay, the Anglo-Saxons had a great council which the king consulted before imposing any tax. So at that time also, even though the monarch was an autocrat, but still there was also an elected representative, and that elected representative was known as parliament. So it was prevailing over there, elected consultative members of elected consultative assembly. And when the king had to impose further taxes on the common people, then first that elected consultative assembly had to be their meeting has to be called, and then it was to be discussed with these elected representatives. Then only if they consented, then the king could only impose taxes on the, means he could increase the taxes. So the Anglo-Saxons, this developed into the parliament with the House of Lords, its member, the Lords and the clergy, and the House of Commons. So this parliament was a bicameral parliament, and it consisted of two houses. That is, one is of House of Lords, which consisted of the members of clergy and nobility, and then second was the House of Commons, which consisted of the rich peasants. Charles the First, the English monarch, Charles the First ruled England from 1629 till 1640 without calling the parliament. तो जो चार्ल्स था, तो क्योंकि इनको एक्चुअली में ये जो पार्लियामेंट को बुलाने की तभी ज़रूरत होती थी जब इनको फर्दर टैक्सेस इम्पोज करने होते थे, तब उनको कंसेंट लेनी होती थी, स्वीकृति। और जो चार्ल्स थे, चार्ल्स फर्स्ट इंग्लैंड के, उन्होंने जो है अपनी ज़िंदगी में कभी भी पार्लियामेंट को बुलाया नहीं। 1629 टिल 1640 जब तक उन्होंने शासन किया, तब तक उन्होंने कभी नहीं बुलाया। क्यों नहीं बुलाया? क्योंकि उन्होंने टैक्सेस इम्पोज नहीं किए होंगे, फर्दर इंक्रीज़ नहीं किए, इसलिए उनको बुलाने की ज़रूरत नहीं थी। फैक्टर्स इफेक्टिंग सोशल एंड इकोनॉमिक रिलेशन। नाउ देयर वर सम फैक्टर्स विच इफेक्टेड द रिलेशंस। दे वर द एनवायरनमेंट, लैंड यूज, न्यू एग्रीकल्चरल टेक्नोलॉजी एंड अर्बनाइजेशन. So during the medieval period, some economic and political changes and social changes were made, which were basically related to the even the climatic changes, and also the land use pattern, means how the agricultural methods were there, and new agriculture in farming methods of when they developed, and ultimately this new agricultural technology led to the urbanization means हिंदी में हम इसको कहते हैं फॉर्मिंग शहरीकरण, फॉर्मिंग ऑफ द सिटीज़, न्यू सिटीज़, इमर्जिंग ऑफ न्यू सिटीज़. ओके, तो ये किस तरह से उन्होंने फैक्टर्स इफ़ेक्ट किए थे सोशल एंड इकोनॉमिक रिलेशन की. ड्यूरिंग द 12th century to 13th century, there were certain climatic changes occurred in England. And what were the changes? That the changes were that first of all, this because England, it lies in the temperate zone, so over there the winters are severe and they stay for a longer duration of time, and the summers are for very less period. That's why the vegetation over there is not so good, because for the purpose of germination, the plants also, they need some amount of sufficient adequate sunlight and also certain temperature to germinate. So but in a very cold temperature they were not able to germinate properly. But when there was a change in the climate, this ultimately resulted long summers, long duration of summers and less winters. So now with the availability of adequate sunlight and the temperature which was very good for the germination, the agriculture and the protection of the agriculture increased, and the farmers, the peasants, they also improved their agricultural techniques when they have got this privilege, that is when they got this opportunity of the long summers. Then they applied some innovative methods to increase the agriculture. Like first of all, they used to grow only 2 crops in a year, but later when the climatic change happened, then they started growing 3 crops in a year, and this ultimately led to the increased production. And also they acquired the land, they cleared the land of the forested and forest land and the pasture lands, that is the wasteland, into their cultivable land, and hence agriculture increased. So when agriculture increased, more production was there, and when more production was there, then the surplus production they used to sell it into the market, and they were able to pay the taxes and fulfill their fooding demands. And then the surplus, even they used to sell it in the market, and they started doing some other professions. They got more lesser time, and in this way most of them became traders and they started living in a city. So when they got more money, then they started living a very luxurious life. So in this way their lifestyle also increased, and and so the population also rose in a very rapid manner. Okay, fine. Now, so this ultimately resulted in urbanization. Now the next topic is, so next topic I will continue in my next lecture, that is the cathedral towns. Okay, so I hope that you all have understood whatever I have explained to you, and the next I will explain in my next lecture. I hope that you have liked it, and fine. So please subscribe me also. Thank you very much.